Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you, Max?
Very well. We last had a proper catch-up on camera at the National Fruit Show. Well, can you remember, was it 2 years ago?
15 months or 16 months ago, was it?
Yeah. Have we seen many changes since then?
I think we're still unsure about where policy's going, aren't we? It's, yeah, we keep on waiting for these announcements from government, and now we're sort of waiting with bated breath before the end of January, I understand, from Minister Spencer last week. But
I always ask you this question at the end. Let's start at the beginning. Are you optimistic about the future?
You have to be optimistic doing my job, Max. If your glass isn't half full, then you really shouldn't be doing it. But I think that there's a huge amount of uncertainty. Businesses aren't used to dealing with inflation running at over 30%. That, with the volatility we're seeing in the marketplace, that is creating a huge amount of pressure. And you know, many members are looking at how they invest in their businesses for the future. A lot of sectors are actually reducing production at this time, and at a time of global food production challenge. It's simply the wrong thing. You know, government needs to really get a grip of this and make sure that farmers have the confidence to invest in their businesses for the future.
And I'm not trying to drag you down a political line. It feels to us as if things economically are starting to quieten down, as it's starting to simmer down. We've got talk about inflation coming down to pre-pandemic level. So again, do you think there are some bright lights that we can all grasp?
I think that when we've got 70 million people living on an island, Max, that's always an opportunity for British farmers to produce the food for that country, for those people. So that's what really gives me optimism. I do think the importance of food security has resonated with government. And so as we move forward, they're saying the right words now, where they weren't even talking about food security before. But we now need the plan as to what that really looks like, how businesses are going to be able to invest with confidence, and I guess really turn the word food security into something meaningful that businesses can get a grip on.
Yeah. Industry leaders, when I was at Oxford Farm Conference last week, an industry leader said to me, one of the frustrations that they've got with their organisation is the farmers won't help them. They expect their organisation to do everything, but actually they need this collaborative approach. They need everyone to help. How can we help you? How can we help the NFU to achieve what you want to achieve?
Max, I think that there's clearly farming is a very disparate group of members around the country, all farming in different ways, but we've got far more in common than we have that sets us apart. And I'd actually really ask that we all join together and that we unite in the ambition. All of us want a thriving future for British farming and food production. And actually, rather than highlighting the things that we don't agree about, how about let's thinking about what we really do agree about and making sure we drive those messages into government in a united way.
Yeah. Okay. And are you, government-wise, can you predict? Are you talking behind closed doors at the NFU that there might be a change of government in 2 years' time?
So we're always prepared for an election at any point in time. When you look at all the polling, we have to believe that there's a realistic chance of a different government. And so that means that when we're thinking about policy at the moment, we have to really think about, well, what would either colour government make of these questions that we're asking? Because what you don't want is a very short-lived policy which ends at the point of an election. So it needs to have, I suppose, be acceptable to all political angles so that we try and have longer-term policy making for the future.
Yeah, the next 18 months, 2 years is going to be fascinating in that respect. And it's great that we're going to have the support of the NFU to guide us through that. Just a quick question, just to wrap up. Climate change. Where we're based, you're an Essex farm in Essex on a contract basis. I'm based in Suffolk. There's a number of farmers saying that they think they're going to have to change what they grow. In Essex, are you seeing a change on your farm? And are you envisaging that you might have to actually start growing different cropping 5 years, 10 years out?
I mean, what we are seeing in Essex is a huge amount of vineyards being planted. You know, it really is, I think, one of the vineyard hotspots of the country, and that's quite interesting because that really is quite a substantial change. I mean, climate change, I think what we saw this summer, clearly farmers are on the front line of climate change. I think it's difficult to dispute that it's happening, and it is about how do we build that resilience into our farming systems, how do we make sure we're managing our soils, building our organic matters. You know, will we be growing corn crops, will we be growing soybeans in the future, and I guess a lot of that's going to be dictated by what the climate does.
Yeah, because one thing that we're also picking up is that farmers aren't really farmers anymore, they're businessmen, because they can have such a different range of businesses, can't they?
Well, and I think that's exactly what we should view ourselves as, is rural businesses, and actually, you know, for government, the prospect of all of these small businesses operating in rural areas, driving growth in our rural economy, I think it's a fantastic opportunity, provided we really do get behind that. And farming really does get everywhere, and whether it be dairy production in the southwest or our upland farmers, they really are a critical part of our rural economies. And I think that's the bit that we'll really miss if we don't make sure that food production is prioritised.
Well done. And just to wrap up, why should the younger generation join farming, and why should that younger generation adopt the NFU?
For me, the younger generation are absolutely the future of what we're doing here. I mean, I guess I'm sort of in the middle of this at the moment as a generational thing. I'm just 40. Unless we're creating a thriving opportunity for them for the future, why will they want to be engaged? And our job is to make sure that we do deliver a thriving opportunity for you to get involved in and really drive those businesses. So, I think it's an incredibly exciting time for food production globally. We are on the front line of climate change, but we're also a critical part of the solution. And what can be better than feeding the world, feeding our British population, while also trying to solve climate change?
Tom, well done, you're brilliant.
Cheers.